Washington to New York, people lined the track.
A strange crowd, a quiet crowd, nobody wanting to talk out loud.
At lonely country crossroads, there were farmers and their wives and kids standing around for hours. In Philadelphia, the line of mourners ran 3 miles, and most of them were deep in mourning. An old lady stood by the coffin and said,
Mr. Lincoln, are you dead? Are you really dead?
but some wanted him dead for a long, long time. A cotton speculator turned away from the coffin, saying,
"All right, boys, the drinks are on me."
For there were those who cursed the Union, those who wanted the people apart, while the sound of the freedom gun still echoed. Copperhead struck at the people's heart.
I've heard it said that when that train pulled into New York town, Mr. Lincoln wasn't around. He was where there was work to be done, where there were people having fun. When that funeral train pulled into New York, Lincoln was down in a Kansas town, swinging his lady round and round.
Swing your boss, swing your cord, don't get the gap, Arkansas.
When young Abe Lincoln came to dance, those Kansas boys didn't have a chance.
Grab your gal, circle 4, make sure she ain't your mother-in-law. Now, promenade!
There were dancing people you could see. They were folks who liked being free. The men were tall, the girls were fair. They fought for the right to be dancing there.
Pretty little girl, round she goes, swing your lady Rosy-Do. Oh, first to the right, then to the left, then to the gal that you love best. Duck for the oyster, dig for the clam, pass right through the promised land.
Those Kansas boys didn't have a chance when young Abe Lincoln came to dance. Lonesome-Train on the lonesome-track. 7 coaches painted black. The train started, the wheels went round, on the way to Cleveland town. You could hear that whistle 4 miles around, crying freedom, freedom.
in Cleveland, the crowds were there. 250 come from Meadville, Pennsylvania. 500 with 2 brass bands from Detroit. A 1 million people came from northern Ohio. They came to mourn, but a few went home to celebrate.
Some in the north and some in the west, and some by the president's side. They cursed him every day that he lived and cheered on the day he died.
Yes, there were those who cheered, the Copperheads, a New York politician who didn't like Lincoln, an Ohio businessman who didn't like Negroes, a Chicago newspaper editor who didn't like people.
You couldn't quite tell where the people left off and where Abe Lincoln began.
Naturally, the Copperheads went home to celebrate.
When that train rolled into Cleveland town, Mr. Lincoln wasn't around. Lincoln sat in a hospital ward far from the funeral train. Lincoln sat in a hospital ward hoping to quiet a soldier's pain. Where were you wounded, son? Lincoln said, standing by the soldier's bed.
At Bull Run, sir, and Chancellorsville, I was shot when we stormed the hill. I've been worried since Chancellorsville about killing, sir. It's wrong to kill.
Lincoln said, that's been bothering me, how to make the war and the word agree.